watching Lockstin and Gnoggin today. This was actually recommended by a viewer. We're gonna be watching Explaining the Most American Pokemon. See, the thumbnail had like Tauros or like the bulls on it. So what is was it Tauros? No, it was one of the black and white like bull Pokemon. I can't remember its name.
People got this idea in their head.
There we go. Bouffalant
is just a silly-looking bison-like regional.
I liked playing Bouffalant in the TCG because there was a silly, funny Kangaskhan deck, a Mega Kangaskhan deck, where if you had two Bouffalants in the back with the same ability, all of your normal type Pokemon take less damage. So I had a Mega Kangaskhan deck where it was just super tanky, and then I played like stuff like healing cards. Oh god, it was so fun.
Variant of Tauros back before regional variants were actual things. And honestly, no. No, it is so much more than that. And this is something I've recently learned too.
Oh.
I just got back home from my first ever cross-country road trip from Oregon.
That sounds fun. I've actually wanted to do a cross-country road trip one day.
To the Great Lakes area.
Go across America.
PokeCon in Minneapolis. Check it out.
PokeCon?
On this trip, we went to many national parks and monuments, and it was at these my wife and I first saw our first bison in the wild.
You know my dumbass would do? I would go up to the bison and try to touch it. Because I would think it's cute.
Lone male just destroying that poor bush, as they do.
He's just hungry.
Long after we came across the herd. We saw some in a little altercation. We saw this dude not shut up.
He just wants to yap. Make him a streamer, make him a content creator.
And there were babies. They're a bit hard to see, but they're also orange. Being orange helps them camouflage in the grass. Dead and alive. The grass, that is. Most animals see green grass like this. But anyway, believe me, we stopped at every single spot. And sometimes we didn't need to stop because
Look how
they approached
cute
us.
they are.
You really do feel like the puny ape you are being near them.
I, unfortunately, would just want to pet the thing and like lay down with it because I just love animals and I have no sense of danger.
But no matter how much you want to, do not pet the fluffy cows.
Okay, fine, I won't. God.
They end the lives of several overconfident people every year. You'll make
And I was just talking about that.
your parents cry, and at your funeral they'll say, "Bison." Yes, it was. By the way, is it bison or buffalo? Technically, bison. This is a buffalo, and this
they're two different entities? I always thought they were the same.
is not that. But people have used the wrong words long and often enough that the meaning has changed, because that's what words do. I'm gonna stick with bison.
Words evolve.
Have you seen this thing's species name? Bison, bison, bison. It's like they're
What the heck? Wait, that's so funny!
hammering it in. Stop calling it a buffalo! It's not a buffalo! Knowledge is cool, and I am filled with so many cowboy facts now, because there is nothing else the Middle States
Atom? Oh yeah, I use Atom.
have. Except corn! One of
I
the
love
museums we stopped at
corn.
is actually built around a partially
It's one of the few foods that goes in the same way it comes out.
excavated mammoth graveyard, essentially. It was a sinkhole that swallowed just so many mammoths. It was quite amazing and emotional, honestly, to think that these beasts once roamed here, right next door to suburbia.
That's so
But the museum
sad.
part around and behind the bones is what we're talking about in this video, because it taught me about an extinct species of bison that, oh my god, it's just Bouffalant. Like, I used to think Bouffalant was just an American bison given big
I love Bouffalant.
horns to be intimidating and cool, and an afro and big hoop earrings like a 1970s American disco dancer. And it could very well still pull from those. But this is the Bison latifrons, the giant long-horned bison. I saw its long
That's
horns,
big
compared them to
horns.
Bouffalants in my head, and then mentally filed it
Oh my god, they're 6 feet long?
away
What
for
the
later.
heck?
This is my first real vacation, not a time for thinking about work. Like, I saw a wild marmot yesterday. I'm still riding that high. It's been a month.
It's so cute!
It was so cute and so orange. It was like Palmot, the marmot Pokemon. No, dang it!
Wait, is Palmont actually a marmot? I've never actually put those two together.
In a museum, they had a diagram on the wall of various species of American bison lined up, and you can see the height of them compared to each other and yourself, since it's life-sized. Alright, my brain is buzzing now. The biggest ruminant to ever walk the earth had even poofier head fur than the living bison, and the same long horns that Bouffalant has? Not to mention its neck is especially thick and hunched. Like, it's too perfect. This extinct American bovine is absolutely Bouffalant. And now that I'm back from my trip and
IRL?
arrested, I'm going to tell you all about it and how it's perfect for a Pokemon for Unova, the first American Pokemon region.
What? I've never played that game. Oh, okay. Okay.
Because, hot take, I feel like the bison is a more fitting mascot for the United States than the bald eagle. But
I actually kind of agree with that take.
We'll get to that, because first, in a very American move...
Bison are very American.
Yep, that was the fireworks show. Time to go home now and sleep on a super comfortable mattress from this video sponsor, Helix Sleep.
Helix!
You know you spend a third of your life on a mattress,
mattress,
meaning a great mattress is always a worthy investment. It impacts just so much of your overall quality of life. How well you rest, how sore your back is, how snore your back is. It is all impacted by how you choose to lay, but how do you choose which mattress is best for you, especially online? Everybody sleeps different, even partners. Well, my friends, Helix makes it easy. They've got an online sleep quiz that will match you and a partner to which of their 20 mattresses suits your sleep preferences.
I would like a new mattress.
Best. When my wife and I took it 7 or 8 years ago, we got the Helix Midnight Lux, and so did our beautiful editor and his wife. And we all live in a warm environment. The built-in cooling cover on this one helps you maintain cooler body temperatures while sleeping. It's lovely. And we can all comfortably say that these are the best mattresses we have ever used, which is why I love the support they've shown us over the years through sponsorships. And right now, they want me to tell you about their 4th of July sale that's going on through the whole month. 27% off site-wide. Yes,
27?
everything. Even the mattress
That's a very
toppers.
specific
If you just want
number.
to give your generic mattress a nice upgrade. All you have to do is use my link at the top of this video's description, helixsleep.com/Lockstin, to let them know that I am great and you love me and good sleep. Hence you checking them out. Bonus fact! Helix mattresses do not contain fiberglass, asbestos, or uranium. Only one of those things
Do other mattresses contain those?
was not once a common mattress ingredient. Ooh. I'm so glad we have science. So, this extinct bison was freaking huge. Overall, around 15.5 by 7.5 feet and weighed up to 4,400 pounds.
Oh my god!
Heavier than most mid-sized cars and SUVs. And its horns from tip to tip are estimated to be as great as 84 inches. Modern bison are going to have to do something to compensate for theirs, being only 26 to 35.
Oh my
Such
god,
insecurity.
that's like less than half.
Here's your NRA sticker. This makes Lechifrons comparable to the Texas longhorn cow, whose horns are only slightly shorter at 80 inches. But their bodies still have no chance at only 900 to 1,500 pounds. Well, gosh, it's no wonder why their horns may look bigger than Lechifrons. Not because they are, but because they are attached to a body that is a quarter of the size, all whacked out of proportion through breeding, I guess. Breeding is something Lechifrons should have done more
I love breeding.
of, though, but alas, they all died out around 20,000 years ago, even though they roamed from southern Canada to northern Mexico and from California to Florida. The Ice Age starved their poor extra-large bodies, all the while they
Who was responsible for the Ice Age? I just want to have a conversation.
were being hunted for their fur, organs, bones, and food on those extra-large bodies. The horns, too. Extra large. The horns were often used to make tools, instruments, cups, and even adorned many headdresses. Normally, these headdresses would leave the horns as their own piece, or at most, they might tie a decorative string around the tips and connect them, but occasionally they did have rings of leather or beads put around their middles,
Those are very
decorating
pretty.
them similarly to Bouffalant's little gold rings. But not really, just only kinda. Plus, the practice was rare enough that I don't think it was a factor for Game Freak. The rings are from elsewhere. Perhaps the iconic gold rings of Afro-equipped disco dancers decades ago.
So bonita.
Perhaps an homage to the mini metal rings put into the noses of cattle. Both. Probably
claps?
both. Bison were and are
I think the minions started the Ice Age.
incredibly important to Native Americans, especially the many different peoples grouped together as...
Oh my god, can I just say, one of the best classes I've ever taken in college was the history of the Native Americans. I don't think there has been a class where I actually have, like, sobbed in the middle of lecture. if you guys are in like college or have like an opportunity to learn more about like the indigenous people of America, I really highly recommend you educate yourself because oh my god, what a heartbreaking class. Oh, I loved it though. It was I loved the professor. He definitely made it feel the way. Yeah, no, it's a really it's so sad, and I feel like there's still so much justice that needs to be had for them. They need to they I think it's slowly been getting better, but we're not there yet.
Plains Indians, and for a long time, pre-contact, they did a good job utilizing bison without endangering their population after they accidentally extinctified Bison antiquus, aka the ancient bison, by running their herds off cliffs over and over again.
Why would they do that?
Had learned their lesson and had gone for a few thousand years getting what they needed from the plains bison without running into population decline. Post-contact, though, is a whole other story. Manifest destiny and capitalism working as intended. Who gives a darn about future generations when I can maximize my profit now? You may have seen some of the famous photos.
God
the
damn it.
Piles upon piles upon piles of bison skulls.
That's so
hunted for
sad.
sport and trade goods in the 19th century. They were brought to the very edge of extinction in only a few decades. I can't even imagine being a young Native American back then, to be taught about these majestic creatures that have helped your ancestors for tens of thousands of years, and been taught over and over again about how they are sacred, and to be able to hunt them is a gift. A bison is a gift given to you.
True.
And it is your duty to help maintain the 60 million wild bison so that they can provide food and tools and clothing for your descendants too. But then, by the time you're a full-on adult, maybe with kids of your own, they're just gone.
No! It's so sad.
Completely.
What
And
the
for what?
heck?
Most of them were just left to rot. Most were killed not for their resources, but specifically just to subjugate Native Americans even more, as the Plains Indians
Man, this is making me actually really fucking sad.
relied on them heavily for their traditional ways and trade. Truly disgusting.
It is very nasty. I want to say stuff, but I feel like it's gonna be interpreted wrong. But man, again, justice for the indigenous people.
Thankfully, a small population of only 541,
Hope Corps!
down from 60 million, managed to live through that. And today,
Let's fucking go!
there's almost 500,000 of them. Mostly in ranches,
We're
but
so
still,
back.
every American bison living today is the descendant of that tiny group of survivors. American
go!
history is so interesting because, like, in just 3
Hope
short
Corps!
centuries, Americans have accomplished so many great things, showing ingenuity and resilience and determination. Like, U.S. history starts with a group of dudes beating off the most powerful empire in the world at the time. Hello? But there's also the dark stuff.
It is very
Some
dark.
of the worst atrocities, all stemming from either greed or racism, usually both. Like, come on, history. Why can't we have an actually interesting villain for once, huh? Wait, maybe that's why true
What?
crime serial killers are popular. Just killing
Oh.
for fun, not greed or racial reasons, just fun. Like the dudes on trains shooting bison, because it's funny to watch them tumble.
That is not funny at all.
So why are bison so American?
Let me at him.
To the point where Bouffalant had to be in Unova, even though bison don't really live in New York, let alone the Manhattan area,
I mean, you never know, man.
which Unova
They found that, like, weird bird in, like, the middle of New York. I don't know if you guys seen that. There was like a bird that wasn't native to, like, the New York City area, and he was just chilling in the middle of the city. It was very cute. Thank you so much for the follow, Rail.
is specifically. Well, it's because, I mean, there are various species of buffalo and bison all over the world, and the European bison almost looks just like the American bison,
They
and
look
yet
a little
people
bigger,
barely
no?
know it exists. There's just something so special and iconically American about American bison, you know? I mean, Wyoming
America
has a flag, like all states do. I don't know why I phrased it like that, but their flag is a bison. Straight up. It's just a bison on a pole. Clearly, bison are culturally important. And several of the towns that we visited on our road trip had bison statues, sometimes dozens, all painted differently. Clearly,
I love that.
Bison are culturally important. My favorite one was painted like a skeleton. I'm sure
I
that
love
the
that
American
one,
Bison's
actually.
association with Native Americans is a factor. I mean, you can't get more American than that, unless they were also obese and in deep poverty.
Oh.
The American bison, as a symbol of indigenous history, reflects the deep-rooted connection to the land that existed before European colonization. And of course, the destruction of the bison can be seen as a metaphor for the broader impact of manifest destiny, where good old westward expansion displaced entire Native American nations and transformed the landscape at great environmental and cultural costs. The mass death of the bison can even be compared to the mass death of Native Americans at the time of contact as well. Some call it the American Holocaust. While not deliberate at first, at contact, the diseases Europeans carried with them and had natural resistance to spread.
They didn't have the immune systems to take on European diseases. So it wiped out a lot of them.
To the native populations across the continents who didn't have any ancestral immune system to fight it off. So smallpox, the plague, influenza, and measles spread and killed millions in just a few decades. An unfortunate fate that was unfortunately bound to happen whenever contact was made, even if it were 100% peaceful. But that was just the beginning of the problems, because it was not 100% peaceful. Many who hated the natives learned that they were especially susceptible to these diseases that they also knew were contagious, and thus began purposefully spreading it with sinister intentions. A mere century after Christopher Columbus stepped foot here, 90% of indigenous Americans had died from European diseases. Then tack on the wars and the legal and encouraged massacres, and you've got several tribes and nations being totally wiped out. All in all, it's estimated that up to or even over 100 million indigenous Americans died.
That is a lot of people. I don't think most people understand how dangerous disease was back then, because they didn't have doctors, they didn't have like the resources we have now. A lot of the time, they would just be like, drink some herbs and hope it passes. And they just didn't have the resources to recover. So it just killed literally all of them.
As a
maybe not all of them, but a lot of them.
Direct result.
Tribes were getting wiped out.
Of contact. Such mass death and population decline is not unlike what happened to the bison. And, similar to the bison's slow but steady recovery, so too are many Native American cultures.
And we are so bad.
Now more than ever, we are...
That's why I'm saying, I always like tell people, like, if you had an option to support, like, a native, I guess, like, an indigenous business, like small business owned by them, I will always go and do it. For example, a lot of the casinos on the West Coast are owned by indigenous tribes. And I'm like, I'll have lunch there. I'll go support them.
To truly educate about their past and their culture, and while still a fight, many rights and reparations have been given. In some ways, the bison's resilience and eventual recovery after nearly being wiped out totally mirrors the resistance and survival of marginalized peoples in the face of adversity. But of course, the bison represents more than just itself and the people it lived closely with. It works as a metaphor for the very land itself too. It embodies the westward expansion. Not only was the country expanding westward, literally deeper into bison territory, but also bison themselves roamed huge swaths of land, like pure freedom. There's
just something beautiful about just a whole group of bison traveling together. I don't know why it makes me happy.
Thing America is supposed to be all about. It wasn't until that land was stolen and divvied up to various owners who put fences up that their movement started really getting complicated. The efforts to save the American bison in the early 20th century, led by conservationists such as Theodore Roosevelt, symbolize the nation's growing awareness of the need for environmental conservation. It represents a shift in American identity towards valuing the preservation of nature and recognizing past mistakes. It's truly no wonder that the bison is designated as the national mammal of the US. It's a symbol of strength and survival, and it's a reminder of both the destruction we are capable of and the possibility of renewal. Being a large, powerful herd animal, the bison could also symbolize the idea of unity within diversity. The individual animals are all part of a collective whole. The US has always been known as a cultural melting pot, and yet, despite the many different origins and colors of the skin of the people here, at the end of the day, we're all American, and it's important to collaborate and work together as an American community. All in all, the bison reflects the complexities of our past, the moments of harmony and connection with the land, the exploitation and destruction that came with industrialization and colonization, and the eventual movement toward conservation, unity, and renewal. And that...
TLDR. Bouffalant is a cool Pokemon.
That's awesome.
That is beautiful.
Like, yes, America did real bad things in its history.
That's facts. Don't be proud of that.
Aside from the near genocide of those indigenous here, many point to continued slavery and segregation as the darkest aspects, and yet, we abolished it. I mean, sure, we had to fight a literal war over it, which proves just how terrible and desperate people are to continue being terrible, but we persevered and won, which was awesome and difficult to do, and shows that we can recover. And recover we still
Hope Core
are. It's an ongoing fight that shows resilience and perseverance. We're still dealing with the racial problems because, like, segregation was only legally abolished less than a lifetime ago. People in power today had parents who were the biggest racists you could possibly imagine. Parents try to raise kids with the same values as them. Do the math.
I think our generation is definitely trying to abolish that, where it's like, I'll give you an example. I don't want to get like too political here, because that's not what this is about. I think we were here to talk about how awesome bison are and what they represent in American history, right? All the bad stuff and all the good stuff that has happened. But I'll give you an example. For example, my mom, I love her to death. However, if you asked me 10 years ago, because my mom comes from a very conservative, very like, if Filipinos, I think if the Filipino shippers will understand. Like, my mom is very religious sometimes. By sometimes, I mean she does practice religion, but it's like not super often. But like, for example, she didn't like the idea of teenagers dating because in her culture, right, and her values, people don't date until after college. So when my siblings were getting like partners and stuff, my mom had a hard time kind of swallowing that a little bit. But, you know, I remember having this conversation with my mom, like, hey, listen, I know that your family values are very important to you, but I also need you to understand that times are changing. What was normal for you 40-ish, 50-ish years ago isn't normal for the people of our generation now. So you need to be open to like all these other like things kind of being different. And my mom's been open-minded. There's some stuff that, you know, obviously she has a little bit of a hard time letting go. But I feel like our generation is really trying to break away from that.
And please vote. And that brings us back to the topic of the video.
Please vote.
Bouffalant. Specifically, its afro
Shout out
and
to
its big
Bouffalant.
gold earrings. That combo is really like the symbol of the 1970s disco dancer, most often depicted as an African-American woman. And if you
Love
think
that.
about it, the late 70s had like the first generation of young black folk
Speaking of, I need to go watch the new Michael Jackson movie.
who never
I keep seeing videos of people in theaters where there's like Michael Jackson impersonators just like dancing in the theater, and I'm like, that looks like fun. I should go see the movie.
had to
Hopefully there's a Michael Jackson impersonator at the movie.
personally deal with legal segregation. If you were born just before the civil rights movement, you'd just have entered college in the late 70s visiting disco bars and disco
Yeah.
clubs.
That sounds like
Society
fun.
was healing, as the Bison population did.
Yes.
But yeah, maybe I'm stretching. Just trying
No. This. I say this is related.
to make connections where there aren't any. But hey, Unova, Bouffalant's home region,
Hell yeah.
also where Pokemon's first black characters live.
Shout out to them.
And while perhaps not the
Except for the Lenora's Watchhog. I love Lenora, but her Watchhog, I get nightmares still at night.
most racially sensitive, Bouffalant is equally as Unovan as Scraggy and Scrafty, which pull from New York black gang culture, and even the regional horse is black now.
I love Blitzel. It's a zebra.
I'm sorry, that was dumb. All I'm really trying to say is that Bouffalant is definitely
I too am jealous of Lenora's husband.
a black Pokemon. I mean, that's the name of the game it's in.
Get
I'm
it?
sorry, that was dumb. If the American bison itself truly symbolizes all of those things we talked about, then I'd say it makes perfect sense to apply elements associated with one of the major marginalized groups in this country. Of course, bison already having textured
Agreed.
big hair akin to the disco afro helps, but I think another factor may be at play with this design choice. Obviously, Native Americans have a much deeper cultural connection to bison, but I think it's also kind of an overdone trope thing?
Is
Can I
it?
say that? Is that rude of me to say? I just feel like every other building we walked into on our road trip that had a bison-related anything had it decorated Native American style. Like, it is done to death. For a mostly good and justifiable reason, mind you. I just think that maybe applying a different yet similarly persecuted culture's elements to a bison makes the Pokemon more unique. I mean, like, a
I can get down with that.
bison Pokemon with feathers, a war bonnet, or a dream catcher. Wow, original Game Freak. You only see those things on every other slot machine. Hang on, was that one literally designed to look like
What the
a
heck?
Native American man? Oh my word. Oh hey, random thought to end the video with. The confusion of them being called bison or buffalo is also kind of like the confusion of what to call this group of people. Indians? Native Americans? Indigenous Americans? Are they tribes? Peoples? First Nations? There is no straight answer, it seems. It all depends on who you ask. Even
Yeah, I was about to
within
say
the
who
group.
you ask. I remember in my class, my professor tried to encourage us to use the term natives and indigenous. He was like, don't call them Indians. Call them natives or indigenous people. That's, I think, a more appropriate term. But that's what he said too.
I say, as long as the message gets across and nobody is upset, anything works.
Facts.
Just like with bison, buffalo. So other than Bouffalant and Braviary, who do you think is the most American Pokemon? Let me know down below and never stop using
You know, he might have just convinced me Bouffalant is the American Pokemon. You know, I actually really
Bouffalant.
enjoyed that video. It kind of made me remember about all the things I learned in my Native American history class. It was mostly really sad, but I think lots of hope for the future.